G'day from Australia, Jacob from Crypto Critics here. I hope we've ironed out our kinks with our recording. I feel pretty clever, I think, for the challenge, being a Linux box and dealing with multiple codecs. The results were good results. Well worth the effort. If you want to see the struggle, go have a look at another video. It's not an ICO video, just a Linux tutorial video. Now, excuse me. Let's have a look at some stories of the day, and then we'll move on to a ICO that I've got my eye on. Have a look at this. I love it. I love it. Love it. Love it. Give me a second. We'll just bring this back up on my side, and we're going to go forward to give some context. Now, Nugget, you're a nugget. Sometimes you're an idiot, but you're a nugget. Runs a good page. Join it, people. Crypto Australia. Us Aussies are not going to bite you. We're pretty friendly. And look, some calls aside, he's not a bad bloke. He gets around and he definitely adds a bit of value to the community. Sometimes I disagree, and I think that's our prerogative. We're allowed it. It's what Aussies do. It's one of our goddamn rights. So look, I'm not worried about his quality today. I'm more having a laugh at the fact that in the comment he says, yeah, Facebook bans crypto ads, and clearly that's not quite the case just yet. Between that picture, as you can see clearly above it, this big spaceship, we're going to the moon. And WePower, but I'm not going to watch WePower. I think WePower is a legitimate. Look, they have a claim to be on Facebook. They've interacted. They're not there for the quick buck. But in the same token, it is a sponsored ad, and so is the one for Kairos over here. And I don't feel like buying an AMZ Ryzen CPU, but if you've got some RX 480s you want to throw at me, let me know. Okay. So we've gone through that. Obviously, we don't know how Facebook's going to play this out. I imagine they're getting some significant revenue. There might be some contracts set to ride out. And the next concern is how much is this going to be stretched? For example, will Crypto Australia be at risk because it's deemed to be promoting a cryptocurrency activity? I hope it doesn't. I'm sure that if it starts there's a lot that'll rattle, and it'll probably end up something new. You watch, something else will spawn out of it. And at the moment, don't forget, there are alternatives, and I'm starting to think about it, and I should kick myself because I like blockchain. We should be using some of these alternatives like Steemit and Library and blockchain, decentralized mechanisms, and cut out some of these people. Let's talk. We're not just talking the talk, let's walk the walk. So eventually, when I get my shit together, I've still got some of these videos, and we might send them off to a Library account or a Steemit account. Yeah, I'll go hunting around. I've got a few of those accounts. And Library, I don't mind, but at the time, the interface and just the way it played out was a bit simplistic. And yes, there's miles to be gained on YouTube and that yet, but any inch gained, I guess, is an advantage. And the more that I think these big corporations start pushing their agenda, whatever it is, you can tell at the moment the reason why these ICOs are splattered. Look, the funny thing is, I saw the Kodak, and there's some, Kodak coin ICO is a legitimate one. But I saw clearly that there was one there called Kodak 1, and I jumped on and I double checked because it had me interested, because there was like 2,000 comments and a lot of people following it, and I'm thinking, wow, this might be, had a look, well, it didn't feel right because it didn't, the website didn't sound right. I went verified against the cached version, and yeah, no, it was a different entity, put on there, it's a scam, and I haven't had a comment on it since. That shit can't ride. Obviously there's no due diligence coming in from Facebook, and maybe that sets them up lively in the future, and that might be where the knee-jerk reaction comes in from. So maybe it's going to be interesting to see how long these ones pan out. As you can see, hasn't taken effect immediately, but it'd be nice when it takes effect, because even when I say to someone who's got no care, wouldn't even know what Ethereum is, they probably think it's a drink in a bar, and I might mention that on someone, and they go, what? All of a sudden, bam. Guy that works with me, I think we talk Bitcoin, and I think he might have thought about it, bam. It's in his feed, it's just everywhere. Look, I can't, even Gumtree and shit like that, it's just getting on a joke. Look, I don't mind doing, having some good offers thrown at me, but it's getting too noisy, and maybe it's up time for it may be Facebook's not the best avenue to try and attract intelligent investors in the first place. We'll leave that one alone, all right? Now, next bit of news is this Tether thing, and I've been talking about Tether, and I've always said, look, I don't have all my eggs in one basket, but Tether is a basket I do have some eggs in. The issue is, and that's what I've asked as well, it's not just the Bitfinex and Tether, like the association is there. Obviously, the argument is that there's a commonality between the owner as such, or entities of both of those companies. The big issue is going to be, it's not, if you could just think about Bitfinex, then you're going to realise, well, there's other exchanges that use this, and they're volatile too. So I think it's just misleading the way it's always been presented, and I think people need to be aware that if Tether does get into the shit, it's not just Bitfinex that's, yes, there's a direct correlation, but this is going to impact across all exchanges. So I really think it needs to be brought back to people's minds that if Tether has a hiccup, and it's not exactly coming to the party at the moment, but all the stuff that's going on, I'm staying well out of it, because there's some nasty people getting involved, in lawyers, and actually I wouldn't mind seeing whatever comes out of it, but a lot of people I talk to, people that use it, go, we're happy with a small discrepancy as long as it's not a major one. Again, this brings to light stuff like what the Perth Mint want to do, and I think they want to peg a blockchain currency to gold, or and that we need an alternative to Tether that's actually backed by something, tangible, something that's governments recognise as well. We can do it right now. We can walk down to the place, buy bullion, and off we go with cryptocurrency. So the argument is, keep an eye on Tether. I've always said keep an eye on Tether, but don't have everything in Tether. But not having everything in Tether might mean that having everything in a volatile crypto market, and I don't accept that risk. So I'd rather accept the risk that I've got something in the volatile crypto market, something maybe tied up in Tether. And to be honest, sometimes having stuff tied up in ICOs, like even OneChain, and we'll touch base, OneChain's now asking its ICO investors or token holders to migrate their tokens into their wallet. So I will touch back with that in a day, because I haven't done that yet. But back to it. Having money tied up in an ICO you believe in sometimes shields it from whatever's going on in the market. So I'm hoping that OneChain's mindful of what's going on with the market, and they're not going to release until maybe they start seeing a correction, which maybe, and again, I think they're already talking about the end of March, because that's the time people have to get their wallets migrated. So when OneChain releases, hopefully the market's maybe starting to pick back up, and its launch is going to be a bit more profitable than if it was launched right now or a week or two ago. If it was launched a week or two ago, ready for sale, it would have probably been smashed and sold off for people getting profits before the storm kicked in. And again, I've been saying, and others haven't, there's a lot of argument going, oh yeah, buy now, buy now, buy now, it's cheap as. I haven't got a graph up, but by the time I do that, it's going to be a pain in the bum, because I have to load up everything. But if you have a look at 3 months, pull up a candle graph, 3 months of Bitcoin. Yes, the first month or two looks nice, and if you look at the last month, it's nearly retracted. And the argument is a bull market's a lot slower than a bear market, and I think that's come through here. The bear market's taken in, and it's come in hard. Everything seems to be going at it. If you look at the news about the Tether announcement, it just seems a bit uncanny if you think about it. The tone has shifted. It's fear, a little bit of fear, a little bit of fear, a little bit of fear, and it only seems to be really like personal investors that seem to be buy the dip, buy the dip. And I can tell you what, if you've been buying the dip for the last couple of weeks, it's going to start hurting. And I haven't bought the dip. I think I bought $200 with a 0x, and I've got a few more dollars than 200. But I just thought, we'll just see. And that shedded a little bit, so I'm not worried about buying the dip. I've still got well more than $200 to buy back in later, and I've still got one chain and a few good ICOs rearing their head as well. So at the moment, I think just sit back, wait, don't be in any rush. And this is not I'm not a financial advisor, so you choose to ignore me, and do what you like. In fact, I hope you go out and watch a few more other videos just to get a bigger picture from other commentators. So have a look. Hopefully you'll get a picture that there is some sentiment and there is some worry. There's a lot of people sitting on the fences in Bitcoin and everything associated, which is 3/4 of the market, is in a down pattern. Okay, so we've left off. I'm going to talk about a quick. I'll wait up now. B token ICO. Give me a second. It seems like the minimum contribution and guaranteed contribution limit for B token is as small as a bee's dick. That's putting it mildly. So it's going to be. I guess it's not too bad in the sense that everyone's got a guaranteed allocation. They've acknowledged they've got a huge amount of people trying to get in, and the best thing I think can happen for any ICO is lots of little pieces of the pie. That means if any big actor wants to dump on the market, they're not going to be able to unless people don't buy in the first, I think, 24 hours or whatever the time limit is for B token. Double check your email if you're in the whitelist, and basically if you have a look at it, everyone's going to have a crack at the cherry. After that point, it's a free market. Be interesting to see what happens. Again, it's kind of one of those scenarios where I think the hype, when it's like, I want it, and then they go, give me your money. You go, oh, wait up, I'll think about it now. So it'll be interesting to see what actually is left after the initial first periods, and we'll keep an eye on that. I will be involved. I think, cool. Point one, can't lose, and we'll see what happens if there's any more afterwards. What else is going on? Medical chain, I missed that boat. I'm not happy, but I'm always concerned, and this leads into the next one I'm looking at, which is Kairos. I think let's bring it up. I don't know how they call it, Kairos. Cool idea. Facial recognition. Scary idea in the same token. I'm always iffy about Big Brother. I come from a time before Facebook and all that, and I imagine a lot of yous are out there, but there's a lot of young people that just have almost forgotten about the privacy that many generations fought to keep. So I remember if you ask my parents something personal, or half the stuff that gets shared on Facebook, they'll tell you to mind your own bloody business. So, Kairos is about facial recognition and putting identity on the chain, but it's done obviously through hashing, so you're not actually going to have your photo done on the blockchain. Interesting, they've got some major partners. I'll see if we can just skip through some of the crap. The white paper, it's not really fully comprehensive. Even the fact that it goes into my problem with this is if you look through the various documents supporting this ICO, it's a bit of higgledy-piggledy. You get some answers in one, other answers in others, and sometimes you get no answer at all. So let's start from the top to the bottom, I guess. It's facial recognition. They've got some partners. They've got a scientific research paper, but I have asked because none of the authors in that paper are actually anything directly related with the ICO. I have asked them in Telegram for an answer to just verify that what I'm thinking is correct, and no answer. In fact, the Telegram channel's a little bit... I'm hearing crickets. There. There's the cricket. Wait up. They've got me an answer. Cool, let me have a look. Oh. So that paper, that's how it relates. Okay, beautiful. Beautiful. So that's what we want. So initially, and that's a good thing that happened now, I did ask the question, that scientific paper, where did it come from? and it's because these guys have purchased a company with intellectual property that was part of that. So cool. I'll just say thanks. And bugger, I missed. What's the entry point? So, because I don't think I got in on this one. I think we missed a boat. And there we go. See, ask and you'll receive. And I don't mind. That's a straight answer. So that even gets me more intrigued. Yeah, the fact that I can interact. Someone's actually said the right thing. Give me an answer that makes sense. And aha, that's where it joins the dots. That's why that paper's there. I'm glad that happened while we're having this discussion. We'll minimise that. We'll slick it out of the way. And if I get a response back to that, I'll update you. So, okay, yes, that scientific research paper is applicable because they bought the company that owns the intellectual property to that. So that makes perfect sense now. Product deck, white paper. Let's go straight through. Where are we? Let's do that one. That's probably what we need to look at. Bear with us. Sorry about that. I thought I already had it loaded up. Try and be prepared. Boy Scout motto. Now, so I guess if you want to go through that immense piece of scientific research, I think what it broke it down. When I looked at it, it was saying how they're developing algorithms about not just facial recognition, but emotion recognition. And you can understand the importance for having not just facial recognition, but emotions built in at the same time. From a law enforcement point of view, the ultimate lie detector, and I know someone that does that, so I'd actually be interested to see if he'd probably gloss over and fall over with all the algorithms, but the human element would be interesting for him to get a spiel on, because that's what he used to do, is read people's faces and for the emotions, and then he can understand if they're lying, deceitful, pretty clever shit. So yeah, having that built-in AI is probably a scary thing until it's deadly accurate, but when it's deadly accurate, I think it'll be more scarier for all the wrong people. Now, these guys have got some pretty serious partnerships. Let's see if we can just go, there's a slide, there it is. Ooh, back up. Fairly serious partnerships. The depth and breadth of those partnerships and work performed, unsure. But there's a few brand names in there, and if they can get this facial recognition pushed out, even through, for example, like Samsung and its phones, again, what they're all suggesting is they can read emotions. So we'll see a slide that puts that in a nutshell soon. Yeah, and that's right. We live in an identity economy. We also live in a big data and an economy where we almost give up our privacy. So this is where I'm always hesitant about technology that can be used by not just people like companies, but also think about it through aspects of criminal elements looking for doppelgangers for illegal identities and stuff like that. And Australia Federal Police have now got access to the state police licenses, photos and stuff like that. And civil groups were saying, look, that's probably not a wise idea, because if it falls into the wrong hands, all of a sudden malicious people can do some pretty magical thing with identity theft. And you imagine having software that does it for you. It spills like the NSA, especially if it's like NSA quality, and ends up out on the websites again. So look, I'm interested. This is legit tech. There's going to be two tokens, and one's going to be a token that's classified. It's a SEC recognized token. We'll go into that in a minute. And the other one will be the token that's used to, I think, create the identity as well as verify the identity. Now, to create an identity, there'll be a cost, but for, I guess, applications or entities wanting to verify the identity, there'll be no cost. So that sounds pretty cool. Yeah, because the customer retention, uneven lack of awareness. What they're saying is emotional awareness through facial recognition. And you can see this here. Look at her. She's happy. They're out of the house, and the hubbies are, it's a bad PR picture. It's a very generic two ladies shopping, and they're looking very happy. I guess, who knows what aisle are they in. But yeah, imagine if you can kind of gauge customer reactions on an AI level. You can be suggestive, if not a bit more explicit, for say, hey, you don't just want this. I know you want that. And that's where I think the value of this is going to be on a commercial level. Especially the amount of shit that goes through the likes of Facebook and other photo capturing applications out there. Now, I got disappointed because I read this and I initially, without reading the writing, I thought, oh, that's right. How many times have I stood in a freaking queue and had to go, oh man, I think we're on the ride between 5 and 10 o'clock, and yeah, and you have to manually scroll through all the screens of photos to realise which photo you look like you're crapping your dacks the most in with your family. Imagine if that got used with this. Now, have a look at the statement. I got disappointed. So, well, you could have used this on a commercial consumer level, but no, you've got to use it for, again, a security, law enforcement, bugger. But I guess that's what it's all about. It's security. It's all about Big Brother nowadays. So I'm very iffy about AI, Big Brother, and again, malicious activity. Yeah, there you go. There's your malicious activity right there. These two, monkeys. Let's move on. On track to analyse 75 million faces in 2017. So I guess that's a statement that should be able to be quantified if they've actually hit that statement. And it might be a fair question to ask if they've done that, and where is the evidence to suggest doing so. Total cameras, yeah, there are more cameras than I can poke a stick at, and they're embedded in everything and anything nowadays, from your tablet to your phone to your TVs. Wouldn't be look, even to your front of your cars, to back of your cars. Think of it, cameras are everywhere. And if you can interact, well, imagine that facial recognition on the front bumper as you're about to hit that pedestrian, you can at least find out who it was. Now, computer vision and artificial intelligence. So the cool thing is the way they've actually done the algorithms and stuff, and I'll explain that later. Our timing is perfect. Look, timing for this is never going to stop. The war on terror, people's fears, people's lack of care about privacy, companies' big greed for big data, it's always going to be a perfect time. This is going to be the perfect formula for capitalism wanting to cash in and governments needing something to control. Facial recognition, people. That's what it is. Switch. Introducing. Now, I don't know if there's a token breakdown. That's in another paper. And this is what I mean. You can't get more. This is cool. This statement got me thinking when I looked at it. The first anonymous face recognition company. And I thought, okay, how do you do that? I guess once you've verified, you can validate who you are, you never have to be verified again. Your identity doesn't need to be stored because you've already been proven to be. It almost sounds like the old key signing parties of many moons ago, where you go in and someone would verify who you are by stamping your key, and once that was done, that was almost a validation of who you are. Now imagine that on a blockchain where your validation, once you're validated by some entity, that's it. You don't need to pull out your license and go, this is who I am for every ICO or something like that, or your passport. So this was a statement that did get me thinking, okay, and even it'd be interesting to see how this applies to stateless people who would have had an identity at one stage or another, if they were lucky. And that's how I think of blockchain. I think, how can it go outside the big corporate field? So basically, once you're verified, they don't care who you are. It's just that they already, as long as they just know it's you. Any transaction can be biometrically verified, so by your face. Biometric is a wide statement, and works on public and private blockchains. Okay, this is good. Ether, but why Ripple? Again, Ripple. Now this is what it does. Uses identifying features, and I think on the white paper something like up to 42 or something like in the thesis, something crazy, and then creates a hash out of it, and the chance of obviously being a collision would be very minimal. But again, with all hashing, especially when quantum computing kicks in, collisions might be a potential issue. Also, augmentation. So imagine you've had a bad accident and you've lost, 3/4 of your hashing score because you've had a stroke and you can't smile anymore. It'll be interesting to see how these things play out in an artificial world, whereas in a human world, we can make those adjustments and we're pretty quick and cluey at do it. We still make mistakes, but we're quick to correct as well, whereas an AI might go, well, that's not a mistake, and continue on its merry way. Finds faces feet and discards the original. So in other words, once you've been hashed, that doesn't need your photo anymore. So it's basically converting it's like what you do with your thumbprint or anything else. You're converting it into zeros and ones, in this case a hash, and once that's done, you don't need the picture anymore. You just need to actually be able to, when the challenge gets thrown at you by the hash, you just need to be able to match it and say, yes, that is who I am, and here's when the handshake's done. Beautiful. One face how to reverse engineer into an image, and they're right. It's going to be damn hard because there'll probably be bits and pieces not quite there, and those different variations of those features. I would be interested to know if the hash is a proprietary hash or a hash that's already in use, like SHA or MD5, or because it'd be interesting, because if they're subject to those, whatever's happening with them, or if the code is available, if it's proprietary, so someone can verify that there's no vulnerabilities, would be another thing. Team looked pretty solid. The company's been around for a few years. I've gone into the LinkedIn, and the earliest, one of the earliest things that goes back to is over 12 months. So they're not a fly-by-nighter. They've been here for a while. They've got a presence. So if they're scammers, they've been in it for a long haul. So that automatically gives me a bit of credibility on these guys and thinks, all right, Miami, Florida, actually, Rhode Island, all right, they're Americans. Jamie, you're such a slut with all these ICO guys. Yeah, look, I always got to give credit. When a team is actually located in the same vicinity as each other, it makes for better productivity. So I'll give them credit for that as well. And the company's based there. So if that all lines up, and again, it's not financial advice, but that's one of my pet peeves, is remote teams that just can't seem to get the job done because they're all reliant on some other part of the process being filled by someone they can't slap in the back of the head when they need it filled. So I'll give it credit. The team's all based in America. I think that's why when we touch on the security aspect, give me a second. Yeah, we'll get to that in a second. Headcount. So this is the team. I think this is a breakdown. They could have done this a little bit more intuitively. This is a breakdown, I think, of the team and what they're allocated to, and what they would like, I think, as a standard template for what their team is. Yeah, it's kind of aspirations and capabilities. This is the bit that triggered me. The token that I think we're investing in, and I'll get this clarified. Yeah, we've missed the boat. Boohoo. Again, because I missed the boat, but this is starting to look a little bit more legit. I might come back, especially if it flies below the radar or bounces. I might come back and buy this at the exchange. Security token. Interesting. Fully set compliant. Oops. Come back here, you. Oh yeah. Fully set compliant. I think. No. Here we go. Credit, and this is the interesting thing. Accredited and non-accredited investors. So it feels like there's certain different aspects and different tokens. It'd be interesting to know what is what for the sake of investment. So it's not quite clearly broken out. If I was to understand this, so every token you get of this, you would automatically get one of these identity tokens. So if they sold it, I guess if you take that for what it is, 190 million tokens of this Class T, and every Class T will automatically grant one identity token. So out of this 300 pool, if they sold 190 mil at pre-sale, because that's what I'm thinking is the accredited investor aspect, that's not going to happen in an open sale. Well, it can, but it feels like there's going to be two tiers if it is. So either accredited investors will get this security compliant token, and us normal minions we'll get this other token. And remember, if this token, the security token, is bought out by venture capitalists and all that well before, let's say they do take the whole 190 mil stock, they'll also own literally nearly 2/3 of the identity token, leaving only 110 mil. Now, I'd be interested to know what's also left for the team. Yeah, it's not a very... Here we go. There's the hard cap. Yeah, no, here we go. Still. This is what's got me a little bit thinking. How's that possible? So I guess that's another question I'll have to ask. If there's a one-to-one relationship between the security token and the identity token, how can they say, there's going to be 150,000 tokens distributed at ICO, unless there's going to be a bit of a mix. No, it's just a face token. Yeah. So this is the I don't get this. 190,000 tokens in the hard cap in the pre-sale, and then you would think out of 300,000 that would only leave 110,000 left. I'm going to ask the question there. Bear with us, because that does raise a question. And I might actually... I'll post the answer in the channel once it gets in there, so we can keep moving forward. Actually, we're there. So I'm going to ask that question. And we'll bring our screen over. And this is what you got to do, people. You've got to ask these questions. If security token allocates one identity token each, would that mean out of 300 gazillion ID tokens at ICO should be 110 if all 190 mil security tokens are bought. I hate typing and asking for... We'll see what their answer is. So as I said, look, let's have a look. We can have a look. I think this one is a legitimate company, and legitimate product. Just a few little questions, and they've been straight shooters, so they've definitely answered what I've asked. Here we go. I hope they haven't just gone, whoa, here's a fucking standard answer. Oh, lovely, some spam to go with it. That's nothing to delete. What have I done there? Just bear with me for a second. Oh, yeah. Anyway, product, team, valid, some of the metrics, a little bit out of kilt. Good answer to the scientific research paper. Pity I've missed out on any access to the ICO, but it looks like that might be a wait for the exchange. Now, what they were also talking about is, this is another cool thing, and I will mention this. Yeah, some bragging figures. What they were saying is, you, with your digital identity, you can be doing surveys. So if imagine the likes of Facebook and that, who want to know a little bit more about you. And imagine if you're a merchant trying to find your perfect market. So that's what they're saying is if you have a look through all this wonderful white paper, the idea is that you, as the owner of the identity, can be attracting a revenue from the companies that have probably been using your identity for AI, big data, whatever, like Facebook does, for their financial advantage and not paying you. So I think that's not a bad idea if you can make it in such a way where the owner of the identity owns the economy of that identity. Excuse me. So with a bit of luck, maybe the consumer can make a few dollars out of this. Yeah, I'm just seeing, because I had a better one. Excuse me. Oh, need a drink. It's bloody hot in here. Alright, now, see, this is the kind of stuff they're showing. So these are all the different points, but I'd guarantee they won't be the only points. There'll be for it. It'll be a lot of metrics being used to capture data. Oh, this is very sluggish. I wonder if they've got Monero mining in the background on this page. Breakdown of what's happening. So how they're going to use the capitalization, as I say, capitalization of the company, also token use of proceeds. So basically they've shown you how they're going to break down the money. Nothing really stands out that's naughty. And what they've also done is they've shown down, again, this is who's going to own what. So think about it as Class T tokens, which I think are the average Joe tokens. Just double check. Ooh, Class T. No. The Class T are the ones that you need to be an accredited investor to get to. And again, unless I've got this reading this wrong. So Class T token holders, they're your accredited investors right there, mate. Wow. And then I think what they really mean is the common minions is us, the green ones here. Let's see if we can vary like that. Purple sections of our security. Only way you're going to get that security token is if you're an accredited investor. So good luck. That's not us. That's not me anyway. So good luck to anyone who's accredited. They do have a vesting schedule, and I did pay note of this. They actually have made a little statement saying, look, we know it's not just about getting the money and running. We like to keep the money in here as good faith and also to make sure we earn the money. And as you can see, the security token will have a 6-month vesting, and I think that applies to everyone if you read that correctly. The utility token, the one that's going to get sold to us normal minions, can be probably exchangeable straight away. ICO, again, so it's not just the tokens, but it's also the role and function. So they've classified anyone, advisors and consultants will have a vesting on all tokens irrespective of what I'm understanding. And employees, including, have a 3-year vesting, 1 year, 1 year cliff. Imagine what that's about. It's probably just a release schedule, but they're making acknowledgements. They're not going to just go spending the token. Now, I've always argued it's not the token they're going to spend, it's your bloody ETH that you bought. Because if they've got their own share of tokens, they just keep their tokens, liquidate the ETH, and off they run. So there's no real skin off their nose to hold on to a token if they've got a bit of ETH to liquidate in the meantime. And correct me if I'm wrong. File revision history, So look, they've got some serious partnerships, got a team, a few questions there that I'm a bit concerned about, more around just the metrics about how if you buy a security token, it doesn't add up. But maybe I'm misreading it and we'll get an answer. Apart from that, that's just my take on Kairos. I'm going to go have a look at some other ones in the next few days, but until then, hooroo from Australia. Take it easy, keep it real, and yeah, don't buy the fucking dip. See yous.